Welcome to the Explainer. Okay, let's dive into this. Today we're exploring a seriously fascinating framework from our source material called Codatta. It's being billed as the on-chain royalty engine for AI knowledge. And basically, it's a concept that's attempting to completely rewire exactly how value flows in the entire artificial intelligence economy.
We all see that AI models are getting wildly smarter by the day. But this brings up a massive and honestly often totally ignored question. Who actually owns the data making them so smart? Think about every detailed form answer, every blog post or piece of digital art you've ever created. Right now, the actual human creators of the data fueling these massive AI engines are mostly just being left behind. They contribute, they unknowingly train the models, but they rarely keep ownership. And they definitely aren't sharing in the massive downstream value they help create.
Because right now, the system is fundamentally broken. Contributors lose ownership of their data the exact literal second it gets scraped or submitted. And then, on the flip side, the buyers, the AI developers, they end up with a total mess. They lack trustable provenance, they have no idea if the data is accurate, if it's heavily biased, or even if it's legally safe to use. But imagine an ideal state, which is exactly what Codatta is envisioning. Ownable data for the creators, paired with totally trustable, clear lineage for the buyers. And our sources point out that this broken dynamic isn't just unfair, it acts as a massive throttle on AI progress as a whole. It really boils down to three specific roadblocks: super high data cost, low quality, and a severe lack of attribution. Buyers are struggling with incredibly expensive data sets that they can't even entirely trust. Meanwhile, the people who actually have the expertise to provide high-quality, nuanced data, they are completely disincentivized. I mean, why spend hours carefully labeling or creating high-fidelity data if you aren't going to be credited or compensated for your time? Now, what's really interesting about this next part is how they frame the solution. Section 1. What is Codatta? The knowledge layer. The source defines Codatta as an on-chain knowledge layer that assetize human and AI-produced data into ownable, tradable, revenue-sharing assets. Think about that word for a second. Assetize. It's kind of like taking water that's just evaporating uselessly into the air and actually capturing it into a measurable, sellable bottle. It takes all that raw, unappreciated data that would normally just vanish into some giant anonymous AI training run and transforms it into a traceable, permanent asset that actually generates continuous revenue for the person who made it. To make a shift this massive actually work, Codatta is built on three main architectural pillars. First up is the data system. This handles the nuts and bolts: digital fingerprints, data lineage, access control, and privacy. A digital fingerprint is absolutely crucial here because it mathematically protects the data from being endlessly duplicated without credit. It tracks exactly where that data goes. Second is the royalty engine, which handles the licensing and automatic payouts. And third is the agent network. This includes both human and AI agents who establish identity and reputation. You absolutely need this reputation layer so that when an AI agent sources or labels data, the network can rigorously validate it, which totally prevents low-quality bot spam from just flooding the system. Now, our sources make a really vital distinction here. Codatta is not a marketplace. Actually, a better way to think about it is like a high-performance engine you drop inside an existing car. It's a pluggable backend. It plugs directly into the platforms, apps, and marketplaces that are already out there, acting as their invisible knowledge and royalty backend. This means existing platforms can instantly add ownership and royalty features without having to entirely re-architect their front ends or mess up their current user experience. So let's open up the hood and take a look. Section 2, the royalty engine, or how data actually turns into money. The entire royalty economy, as outlined in the source, runs on a very clean, continuous three-step cycle. Step 1 is establishing ownership fractions. Step 2 is recording and metering the usage of that data. And step 3 is triggering automatic payouts. Let's walk through exactly how a single piece of everyday information seamlessly transforms into a recurring paycheck. The very first step to turning your data into money is establishing ownership. But ownership isn't just about dumping raw files into a system. Ownership fractions are established through a strict combination of contributions, verification, and staking. This means you don't just get credit for creating the data, you also get ownership fractions for validating it and staking your actual reputation on it. Staking is a brilliant mechanism here, honestly, because it creates a direct financial penalty for providing garbage data. If you stake your tokens on bad information, you lose them. No way around it. And that economically enforces high quality across the whole board.
Moving right along to step 2, we have usage recording and metering. This tracks when your data is consumed for the initial training or fine-tuning of a new AI model, but even more impressively, it tracks downstream model inference. To put that into plain English, every single time an AI model generates an answer via an API call or produces tokens using your licensed data, the system is metering that usage. Inference is where the vast bulk of AI computation actually happens day to day. So, if an AI uses your specific data asset to answer a user's prompt, the protocol remembers that exact contribution and logs it so you get paid. Once that usage is logged, step 3 automatically kicks in. Smart contracts instantly split the royalties among the contributors, validators, backers, and the protocol treasury. Because this architecture is trustless and lives entirely on-chain, there are zero middlemen holding up the funds. There's no accounting department you have to chase down with an invoice on a Friday afternoon. The code natively, continuously, and automatically ensures everyone involved in that data's lifecycle gets their fair cut based exactly on the agreed terms. Let's move to the next part and see how this builds for the people actually buying the data. Section 3, the impact and flexible payment modes. Buyers get access to some incredibly innovative payment models here, which is absolutely vital for getting AI companies on board. They aren't just stuck paying massive risky upfront costs for datasets they hope will work. Codatta supports pay-as-you-train, and one of the most surprising models highlighted in the source, TNPL, or Train Now, Pay Later. They also offer performance-linked pay-on results based on specific KPIs and SLAs. This is a real game changer. Training an AI takes massive upfront compute cost. Adding millions in data costs on top of that can literally kill a startup. These flexible modes entirely remove those massive financial barriers for developers while still completely maintaining trust and guaranteeing eventual payouts to the creators. Ultimately, this whole framework creates a super powerful, fast-paced compounding cycle. And it all starts right here. Better data. When people are fairly compensated and they retain immutable ownership over their contributions, they are naturally incentivized to provide much higher quality data and rigorous validations. Which leads directly to the next phase, better models. High-quality, trusted, clearly sourced data is the exact raw material AI developers desperately need right now to train smarter, more efficient, and more accurate systems. And when you have better models, you inevitably get more usage. It's just like how a vastly superior search engine naturally captures the entire market. Superior AI models attract more users, they generate more API calls, and they process way more tokens. That downstream usage is precisely what drives up the overall value of the entire ecosystem, which brings the cycle to its brilliant conclusion: more royalties. Because of that metered inference we talked about earlier, all that increased usage translates directly into more royalties. Better data makes better models, which get more usage, which generates more royalties. And thanks to those smart contracts, the right people, the actual creators and validators, get paid automatically, fueling the creation of even better data. It completely flips the current dynamic on its head. It turns a system of extraction into a system of mutual benefit, which leaves us with this final question to chew on. When data finally pays its creators, what will you build? It's a really provocative thought, challenging us to imagine the true possibilities of a fair, on-chain AI data economy where everyone actually shares in the progress they help create. Thanks for joining me for this explainer. I really hope it sparks some new ideas for you, and I'll catch you next time.